Hello, YouTube, and welcome to a special Slot It In There episode with myself and Damien. And we're
Hello.
going to be we're going to be talking about the Xbox 360 because everyone's talking about it at the moment, and we wanted to get in on the action and tell you all about this great console and why we liked it, and some of the games that we enjoyed on it, what we recommend that you perhaps try and get. And also some freebies out there at the moment as well that we're going to discuss right at the end. So you have to stick around to the end for that there. But grab yourself a brew, as we're going to bring some sort of retro-ish gaming to you, as Slot It In There presents our favourite Xbox games. So, Damien, before we get into the games that we really liked, why did you like the Xbox 360 so much? Why is it such a special console to you, perhaps?
There's so many fond, beautiful memories made. Some good friends made whilst playing online on Xbox Live. Just the whole experience of at the time that next generation console, which was a massive leap from the original Xbox and what was around at the time. It was just an epic piece of kit in the day.
Yeah, it definitely was, wasn't it? And I mean, the sort of competition, it came out first before the PS3, if I recall.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
And then, like I say, so we'd obviously just come from an era of having the PS2, which was really dominant. And with the original Xbox, we did quite well, but the PS2 just was the main thing at the time. And then, yeah, the Xbox 360 came out first, and it was obviously the next gen. So it got a lot of traction and momentum with the people that liked the original Xbox as well. But yeah, when PlayStation came out with PS3, it was just too darn expensive at the time, really. And they didn't really have the games. And the whole brilliance, I think, of why I was swayed anyway by Xbox 360, because it was Xbox, I enjoyed the original. But you could also play pretty much the whole back catalogue of like Xbox original games on there. It was very
yeah,
fully backwards compatible. And it's the same now. If you get a new Xbox Series X or whatever on, isn't it now? I think there's only about 70 original games you can do it. But if you've still got a 360, I'm pretty sure you can play quite a lot of the original games on it up to that point. So it's worth getting one now, a 360. That's why we're here to talk about it and love for it. But obviously, if you wanted to get one, your back catalog's there. But we're going to talk about some gate games, 360 games to get for the console, I think, to start with.
absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. And because I'm talking a lot, would you like to start with the first game, your first recommendation,
Well,
Damien?
mine, and this might not be sitting happy with several people. I loved the Halo Reach.
Fair
It
enough.
offered so many more mechanics in the game, better technical detail, faster actual frames per second. It was just all round a massive improvement on the previous three that we had. It was epic, absolutely epic game to play. The campaign was a brilliant story, and online play was pretty epic. To be fair, pretty epic online multiplayer.
I'm not gonna lie, I've got it. Well, I've got it here in the front, so we could look at it and go, "Ooh, I have it on the disc." But I've not actually played Reach myself. I've obviously got it because it's a Halo one. But yeah, I've heard lots about it. I know the story is absolutely amazing. And like I said, I was going to ask about the multiplayer, but you said it like, was that as good as previous Halos? But I'd imagine it was, yeah.
To be fair, Halo 3 was rather dominant, being the go-to multiplayer kind of game at the time. And then Halo Reach just, in my opinion, it just absolutely ransacked it. It was so much better. The matchmaking was more improved. The actual level conditioning, so you actually played against people of similar skill, was better. Getting into matches was so much quicker. And yeah, and the actual maps, I actually preferred the maps in Reach to Halo 3.
Well, while we're talking about Halo, I have to go with one of my recommendations, which, as you mentioned, is the Halo 3. And it wasn't a launch title. It was very early on when the Xbox 360 came out, but it was the game that you were going for. And you could tell it was funny at the time because I had a Wii, because that was sort of out at the same time. And they really pushed to get Metroid Prime out, wasn't it? The third one, because it was a first person shooter. I think they actually brought it forward knowing that they wanted to try and get people interested in the market before Halo 3 came out, that sort
Mhm.
of sci-fi shooter at the time. So it was really good. But I mean, yeah, Halo 3 was the sort of game I got when I got my Xbox 360. I got that game and another game I'll speak about in a moment. But yeah, and obviously I played it a bit. I'm not very good at first-person shooters. I'm not good at any game, to be fair, as people might have noticed on this channel. But yeah, I really loved it. The story in Halo 3 was great, and it obviously wrapped up the first 3 games brilliantly as a sort of little trilogy. And yeah, I really have fond memories of the online multiplayer. Like I've got fond memories for the wrong reasons, because you went in some of the lobbies and it was quite toxic. I mean, so I'd imagine it's still probably quite toxic, but maybe hopefully not as bad as those levels. But yeah, so memories in a sense, maybe not fun memories, but the actual gameplay was really good fun, wasn't it, to do? So
the banter in the lobbies was always at a premium. It was
yeah,
you didn't know what was going to come out of whose mouth next. It was
yeah,
quite vocal.
quite vocal. Yeah, not really kiddie friendly, although it's probably some kids. They gave it some kids when you're in the lobby as well. But yeah,
Yeah. I remember distinctively one evening whilst playing some match-made games, a high-pitched, squeaky, what sounded like a 7-year-old girl's voice with some rather choice words, most of them F.
yeah.
And that was an interesting moment. It was like kids today.
Kids today. I mean, the education system back in the noughties, was top notch. Good English level. But that aside, anyway, brilliant. So we talked about Halo, or we could talk about Halo a lot longer. But what's your next game that you recommend, Damien?
It's just recently been re-released, remade, but I actually enjoyed the original Dead Space.
Ooh, right, yeah.
If you like a little bit of kind of like horror game kind of thing, walking around a broken down space vessel and you're the engineer trying to fix it with other things happening whilst you're walking around. If you don't mind having a few brown trouser moments, this is an absolute epic game. The jump scares that are in it are on point. They're caught me out a few times. But yeah, the actual story, the way it progresses, how you go around fixing things, solving certain puzzles, brilliant game. Really good game.
No, yeah. I mean, again, I've got this one actually in my catalog because I think it was a free monthly game at the time, so I could play it. But not being a horror fan, I haven't played it. I've watched some videos of it and I know how good it is. I mean, maybe I could play it on the channel. Put down in the comments below if you fancy me maybe brown trousering live on YouTube or something, but we'll give it a go. But I do know, yes, it's a classic game, and that's obviously why it got remade. And I'd imagine at the time, I mean, I've seen gameplay of it; it looks awesome. I'd imagine when it first came out on the console at the time, it was absolutely amazing. And some of the mechanics, obviously, in it, like is it the health bar that's on the back of
The
you?
health
Isn't it?
bar, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that. It was sort of revolutionary at the time, and still sort of is. Obviously, that's why it's got remade, and I know it's a really popular one. So that's a cracking choice, as always. That you got there for us, Damien. I'll go on to my next choice, but I do, and it's Overlord, and I actually do have it
Ooh.
on disc. There we go. Wrong side. Anyway, you can get this on PC, but I actually picked up. It was a second game. Like I say again, I didn't really know anything about it. It sounded interesting, and it's actually more right up my street. This game. Basically, you play. Well, you're becoming an overlord, aren't you? You start out, and you've got little minions that want you to become their overlord. I think their previous ones passed away or something, or died many years ago, and it's building up from that. And you get about, I think it's 4 different minions. I can't remember different elements. Or is it only 3? I can't remember.
I think it was 4, but
I think it is
yeah.
4, isn't it? But I can't remember what all different arms. But obviously, it's one of them a bit like if you played all your Zelda games or something. Once you get another minion, essentially, you can open another area and access and expand the map. And that's the sort of thing you like, isn't it? And it obviously gets harder and harder as you go along, but you've learned skills. So it's actually a really nice game to go along. Got very good humor in it and some very good characters in it. And it's sort of, well, it's a 16 plus, isn't it? So it's got some more
Yes.
darker fantasy elements or baddies in it and things that are going on, if I recall. But yeah, it's a classic one. And unfortunately, like I say, I don't know if you can actually get it on the Xbox store at the moment. You can get 2, no problem. I don't know if
Well,
you can get this one.
I haven't tried because it is a game that I had, and it's one of those that I've lent to somebody, and yeah, it's now no longer in the physical media collection, so
No.
I'm never going to get it back.
I mean, no, I know. I think this is why I got it physically, because I think I did want to buy it, and I don't think you could get it. I think you could get two, and two's backwards compatible. I know I can play that on mate. So again, put in the comments if you know more. We're talking rubbish, and you can get it, but otherwise, I think that's a physical sort of only on the Xbox. You have to get. You can play it on the PC, but yeah, I mean, it's a cracking game, and like I say, it was one of them at the time. Looked amazing, and the mechanics of it, of how to use your different minions to overcome tasks and everything. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and well worth adding to your collection, I believe. So we were doing three each, Damien. So what's your
Absolutely.
final choice to tell people?
The final one, I've gone for a racing simulator, and it's Forza Motorsport 3. And
Jolly good.
when that came out, the visuals on that game were amazing. Primarily, I bought it because the on-box car, the one that the game was built around, was the Audi R8, and I love that piece of machinery. It is an amazing car, and it's like the closest I'm ever going to get to owning one is by this 40 quid game. So I bought it, and hundreds of hours spent in there. Hundreds of hours racing around, modding the cars, changing the dimensions of the car by adding extra parts to it. So many happy, fond memories, and racing online with, again, friends or just people randomly online. So many memories of angering so many people, because I will admit I am the last of the late breakers. I will go into that corner at 1,000 miles an hour and then anchor up whilst trying to turn it
Yeah.
and use somebody else to deflect me around. And a lot of people online don't like that.
No, no. I'm a big racer as well, but to be fair, I haven't played those Forza games on the Xbox 360. And the question I'm going to throw to you is, because I think you played more some of the more modern Forza games, is it like 4 and 5?
Yeah.
Is it worth, would you say, going back to 3, or is it sort of like your
Yes.
FIFA games? As I mean, you're going to get more out of it if you actually do go back to 3 and play it.
Three is your I think in my opinion, the last of the serious races of the Forza brand.
Yeah,
Because as they became later on, they got endorsed by things like Top Gear, kind of took a shine away. And then they started introducing like cards that you can use to boost certain parts of your car and other bits and pieces, which suddenly went from I'm racing to now playing Gwent.
yeah,
Not my idea of fun. I would rather just play a racing game because it's based on physically racing the game. It's
yeah.
but yeah, I definitely would recommend, if you're a Forza kind of fan and you haven't played it and you have access to a 360, definitely pick that up and go back to it and give it a go. And to be honest with you, the soundtrack that's on it, belting, absolutely belting.
I imagine some car games back in the day did have some banging soundtracks on it, didn't they? But yeah,
It did.
not nowadays, I tend to find. Well, I think it's quite interesting that we didn't really talk about our games, and we both picked totally different ones. I haven't played any of your games. I've heard about them. But yeah, you played some of mine. And the final one I'm going to end on out of my three is a racing game, but I like this sort of one from originally started on the PlayStation, and this one's Ridge Racer 6. Now,
Ooh.
interestingly, Ridge Racer 6, I was actually a launch title in Japan only. We didn't get it as a launch title everywhere. It took a bit longer, but obviously Xbox at the time were trying to break into the Japanese market, and this is the only Ridge Racer. Well, we'll say the only Ridge Racer that ended up on the Xbox. You had Ridge Racer Unbound, which went on everything, but at the time it was a launch exclusive that obviously Microsoft was trying to do to break into Japan, and it was, like I say, a launch title in Japan. So it's a classic one. If you like that Ridge Racer thing, probably with Forza, which annoys me, and a bit like Gran Turismo, you have to tweak your cars and mess about with that, which I can do like a bit, but sometimes you just want to pick a car, or like you've got an option of three. One's, quicker but slow going, isn't it? And all that lot. And one good at cornering, just pick one. And Ridge Race is very much like that. You just pick your car and go. So I really like that. And it's a highlight to get because at the time it had the sort of tree system where you could do a career progression and everything. It was one of the first ones that did that. I mean, I played on the PSP and other versions after that, and it's done really well. And essentially, they did do Ridge Racer 7 on the PS3, which is sort of a bit more expansion on it, a bit of a polish, but it first came out on the Xbox, and it's the only really one on the Xbox, and Ridge Racer's a huge sort of thing. It's also in the UK, you can't download it on the digital store. You can get it in America and Canada on the digital store, but you can't get it here. So the only way you can get it, unfortunately, is for a physical copy. And it's not on any other system. So it's locked to the Xbox 360. So it's a bit of a rare one, but I would recommend getting it if you can. But obviously that is going to start skyrocketing. It's getting to your 30-40 pound mark already, but it's well worth having it for future races. So maybe start spending a bit of money now if you did fancy it. And it's a bit of a shame. I don't know why it is locked. We don't get it in good old Blighty, but it's good. But I remember lots of hours playing with it because I love Ridge Racer. It was absolutely brilliant. Had to like say the new stuff like the nitro system at the time was in it, and obviously the tree progression thing, the sort of career mode, which was absolutely amazing. So highly recommend it on a 360 if you can get a copy. Would be the one. Throw in a really awkward one for you to get as well as a recommendation. Why not? It's what we're here for. But brilliant. So there's our top 3 games that we can recommend if you can get them, basically, or if you get a 360. But it's worth just buying a 360 just to play those games. And like I say, you can play your original Xbox games on it. There's a huge, more big catalog of them you can play. But also, there's some free games, isn't there?
Ooh, yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Well, there's a whole list. Are we going to do the whole list, or are you going to pick the highlights to start with? Maybe some juicy ones you think out there that you
Well,
recommend?
the ones that are currently free and full games,
Yeah.
Crackdown,
I was going to go Crackdown, yeah.
and also Crackdown 2 with all the DLC. Both of those are available currently in the marketplace, and I would recommend getting there and pulling them down sooner rather than later.
Definitely, yeah.
And make sure you do select the bundle packs that go with it, and make sure they do download too. What about yourself? Have you got any that you like to put forward?
If I can remember the list, I was definitely going Crackdown because when I looked at it, I went, "Wow, Crackdown!" Even though I had it, I was like, "That's well worth getting." But I got Crackdown too because they didn't have that one downloaded, so that was good. There's some lovely retro action in there of Metal Slug 3. Can't go wrong
Ooh,
with a bit of Metal Slug, and it's a nice, lovely little shooter going along, sort of platformer. So that whole series is great. So to get one of them for free, especially if you've never tried it, my goodness, get that downloaded and have a crack at that. That's a good one. And I think the only other one I'd sort of recommend if you haven't played it is it. I'm sure the Resident Evil season 1. No, what Resident Evil? Walking Dead. What am I on about? Telltale Games.
Telltale.
I think it's got all episodes, hasn't it, for the first season? I
Yeah,
believe.
I think it's season 1 only, but there are several seasons. So, but you can
Yeah,
get the first season just give it a go. If,
yeah,
try and
yeah,
find out, see what if you like it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but then you can obviously go for the rest of the series before the marketplace is gone.
yeah,
Um,
definitely, yeah.
I
Oh,
believe also Too Human.
that was the other one. Well remembered, yeah. What's Too Human? Can you explain it a bit?
Not really.
Not really. I can't remember. I know it's cool, and I know it's a cracking one now. Um, I think I
I
had
I
trouble. Yeah,
I do have it downloaded, but as of yet, I have not played it.
I did play it back in the day. I haven't played it a long time, and it was quite fun. But to describe it in a great way, I can't at the moment. But we'll just get Too Human. It's a classic game. It's rated. It
It's
is on lots of lists of rated game to get, and for
and
free,
it's
it's
free.
well.
It's free. It's free.
It's
Just do
free.
it.
It's free. But shall we wrap up? There is some other games. Have you got the lovely list there, or would you just like to read off
Um,
any of the games?
I haven't got a list, but
Ah,
Harm's Way, which was a Xbox arcade title.
hmm
Um, Again, it's a multiplayer. It's kind of racer. You can have a race around in the cars to be number one after so many laps, or you can choose to play as somebody that's shooting at the car. It's a bit like Mad Max kind of style racing. So you can have a shoot at the cars to kind of destroy them as they're going round, or you can actually race in the car and race around the track. Which is, I'll be honest with you, it's quite good, especially if there's a few of you playing it. There is a couple of other bits to actually mention before we wrap up.
yep.
And as I found out to detriment the other day, credit card linking. So if you have a credit card linked to your account, so you can purchase things through the Microsoft Store or the Xbox Store, the 360 store now no longer recognizes your account having a credit card against it. And you can't add one to it either. That also frustrated me to no end. However, I wouldn't say anything like going onto certain websites, CD keys, and getting hold of some cheap gift cards. So you can get a £10 gift card for about £8, that kind of thing. Stack up a few of those, put them into your account, and then go into the 360 store. You can use that credit to purchase the games.
Good, solid plan.
So,
I didn't know about that because it is getting close to when they're shutting it down. Is it the end of June or end of July?
the 29th of June.
29th of June. So you haven't got long, especially to get these free games as well.
Some of the games that have DLC backed behind them that you've paid for,
Yeah.
and you may not have downloaded, might only be downloadable via the game that you bought them through. So you might not be able to download the bundle pack from the store. So you might have to launch the game, go in, and then download it.
All right. Yeah. Fair enough. That
And
makes sense.
there are also some things that are listed on the marketplace for download or purchase that it won't let you do it. But if you've already downloaded it, you have to go through your download history, and that's the only way you can get it.
Yeah. And I think that's staying live, isn't it? After you still go through the download history after the end of June. They're not totally cutting you off. So yeah.
Yeah, you can re-download things, although certain things are broken at the minute. So you start downloading them, it'll get to 80%, and then it resets, and it starts downloading again. But I think what the plan is, from reading the information they gave about shutting down the store, you have until the 29th of June to make your purchases. And then after that, the download or re-downloads are available, and that's going to be all you can do is re-download, and you have to have it against your account as a full purchase. Kind of scary and also disappointing, but everything needs to change and move forward.
It does. End of an era. What can you say?
Crying inside.
If you liked anything in our episode today, which you hopefully have, and we swayed you to maybe get a 360 if you didn't have one, or obviously bolster your collection before the store closes, get on with it. Get going. You haven't got long. You've got about a month or something like that, depending when we get this video out. But there you go. But anyway, so I think that's pretty much the end of it. Our video, just talking about the Xbox. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you'd like more Xbox 360 or Xbox related content on this channel, make sure you tell us in the comments down below. And also just make sure you ring the bell, thumbs up, all that jazz. Can't remember what it is. Just stuff so you notify when stuff comes up. I don't know. Just
like,
like,
comment, subscribe.
That's the
tickle
one.
the bell. Tickle the bell.
Tickle the bell. I'm out of habit now. But yeah, all that jazz. And until next time, then, all I need to say is bye-bye.
Goodbye.